All right. So we have a lot to discuss.
Mhm.
We're gonna get into it. But first, we like to start every show with a Black History fact, and B has a special Black History fact for you guys, but it's special to us
How do you know that's what I went with?
because I saw it in there.
Okay. No, so they were talking about they call him an Australian heavyweight, Peter Jackson, which is kind of funny because
He's not Australian.
Director of Lord of the Rings and whatnot is from Australia.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's not who we're talking about. We're talking about Peter Jackson, the bare knuckle boxing champion who was born where?
In St. Croix.
St. Croix, which is, if you don't know, where our mother is from, and half of our family lived down there for a couple of years. So yeah, it was interesting to find out. Not even the only big time professional boxer from St. Croix, but Peter Jackson was one of the greats. He was
Well,
fighting
I want
in.
to interject
Mhm.
real quick.
Yes,
Because it says he's from Australia or he's Australian, but yeah, like you
yeah,
said, he's from St. Croix. They were owned by the Danish at the time.
yes.
They're yeah,
Before becoming the U.S. Virgin Islands.
yes.
But yeah, he was one of the greats of his time. He fought in the late 1800s. He obviously beat everybody that Australia had to offer. So, whatever. But then, like most great fighters or very skilled fighters, he came to the U.S. and he said as soon as he touched down in San Francisco, he beat a man named George Old Chocolate Godfrey and won the I can't decide if that's the worst or the best nickname ever. But he won the colored heavyweight championship. Uh, and he went over to England and promptly beat a local champion there. During the early part of his career, he beat 28 of the best fighters on the planet. Just kind of traveling around and taking on fights. He wanted to fight John Sullivan, who was the heavyweight champion of the world. John Sullivan was a scared boy. He said that he wasn't going to fight him because he would never fight a black fighter. He used the color bar as an excuse for not fighting Peter Jackson, but it is widely known that he did set up fights with a couple other black fighters. So he was just afraid of Peter, who they called the Black Prince.
Wasn't he the one that came out of retirement to fight Jack Johnson?
No. That was no, that was alfalfa farmer Jeffries. Who
Jeffries.
had to
Okay.
get back into shape and got in there and got whooped so
I'm
bad
about
that his
to, I'm about to
trainer
say,
jumped into the ring and said, "Please don't hurt him anymore."
yes.
Yeah, so that was Jeffries.
I would say
Jim
they were the same
Jeffries.
guy. He'd be like, "See, this is why."
Right. But after he had won the British Commonwealth title over in England, he came back to the U.S. and he had a fight against James Corbett. It was another great heavyweight fighter who had gone on to become a world champion. Their fight lasted 61 rounds. 6-1. And it stopped only because neither one of them could continue fighting, because 61 rounds is a very, very long time. It was a no contest. Unfortunately, he became ill not too long after that. He passed away at 40 due to tuberculosis. But he kind of, he was a trailblazer and opened the door for a lot of black athletes, particularly in boxing, with him, traveling all over the world and beating all these top fighters. He kind of paved the way for Jack Johnson, who, once he became the world heavyweight champion, he went to visit Peter Jackson's grave in Australia just to pay respects. Kind of, he made a pilgrimage, as he said, over there just to see his burial site. And kind of one of the reasons I went with this, obviously, because he was born in St. Croix, and that's kind of special, like you said, to us. But there's another black boxer who's going to be traveling the world to try to prove himself as one of the best, who we'll be talking about a little later in the show.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Man, 61 rounds. Look.
It's stupid, because it wasn't even 61 3-minute rounds, right? Like, they used to do rounds like until somebody got knocked down.
I'm about to say, like, even if they were 1-minute rounds, that's still 60 minutes. That's Ric Flair and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat type of match.
Right.
Okay.
and those guys,
those are choreographed.
They used to do a lot of laying around for several minutes to get their win back. We used to just think they were hurt because we were children and we were dumb.
Because back then
it
wrestling was real.
That's right.
Yeah. Speaking of up and running, the running back said, "Look, enough is enough already. All right, the NFL has been trying to prove a point. They were trying to prove a point with Lamar Jackson and quarterbacks.
Wait,
what?
That's Peter Jackson.
Oh my God, you forgot the picture.
and quite the dresser, right?
Yes,
I
yes,
mean,
very stylish, very stylish.
Looking smooth.
Yo, man,
sorry, my bad.
Look at them knuckles, boy. I wouldn't want to. Bare knuckle boxing.
Every single time, bro. And like you said, you saw it in there, and I still didn't remember to put up the picture. Every time.